I challenge you to see if you can use the same qualities that you feel make you a man to go deeper into yourself, your strength, your bravery, your toughness. Can we redefine what those mean and use them to explore our hearts? Are you brave enough to be vulnerable, to reach out to another man when you need help, to dive headfirst into your shame? Are you strong enough to be sensitive, to cry whether you are hurting or you're happy, even if it makes you look weak? Are you confident enough to listen to the women in your life, to hear their ideas and their solutions, to hold their anguish and actually believe them, even if what they're saying is against you? And will you be man enough to stand up to other men when you hear locker room talk, when you hear stories of sexual harassment, when you hear your boys talking about grabbing ass or getting her drunk? Will you actually stand up and do something?
We're taking a look at the legal battle that's been going on between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
It's a crazy case. We've got articles, we've got legal filings.
A website.
A website. I mean, there are more twists and turns in this thing than a Hollywood blockbuster.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating look at how legal strategy and public perception collide.
Exactly. So for those of you who haven't been, glued to the entertainment news, could you just give us a quick rundown of the key players and what started all of this?
Sure. So we've got Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, who worked together on the film It Ends With Us.
Right.
Lively was the star, and Baldoni directed and co-starred. And things kind of went south when Lively accused Baldoni of sexual harassment and extortion.
Wow. That's a pretty serious accusation.
Yeah, and Baldoni denied these allegations vehemently, but then his response was to slap Lively and Reynolds with a $400 million defamation lawsuit.
Okay, so just for those listening who might not be legal experts, defamation basically means harming someone's reputation by making false statements, right?
Right.
And $400 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a hefty sum.
It is. So what is Baldoni's strategy here? What's he doing that's gotten people talking?
Well, one of the more eyebrow-raising things that's happened is that his legal team launched a website.
Okay.
And on this website, they lay out their timeline of events, and they even included their amended legal complaint.
Before any hearings?
All before any hearings have taken place. It's pretty unusual.
Yeah, you're telling me. Isn't that kind of risky, putting all your cards on the table like that before you even step foot in the courtroom?
It's definitely a high-risk, high-reward move. And, even Johnny Depp's lawyer, Benjamin Chu, weighed in on this.
Oh, wow.
He's not involved in this case, but he gave an interview to Law and Crime, and he called Baldoni's approach aggressive and very impressive.
So why would a seasoned lawyer like Chu be impressed by this? I mean, it just seems like it could backfire so easily.
Well, it's intriguing because Chu and many legal analysts see this as a savvy attempt to control the narrative.
Okay.
Think about it. In today's world, Braren, news spreads like wildfire, especially when it involves celebrities. So by putting their version of events out there early on, Baldoni's team is trying to frame the public's perception of this whole thing before Lively and Reynolds can even offer their side of the story.
So it's like a preemptive strike in the court of public opinion.
Exactly.
But is that even legal? I mean, can you just share legal documents like that publicly?
Well, that's where the line gets a little blurry. A source close to Baldoni told DailyMail.com that the website is not about making money or swaying public opinion. It's about transparency.
Okay.
They're arguing that these documents are already part of public record, so they're just making them more accessible to people.
Okay, so transparency is their argument, but wouldn't this also put pressure on the judge? I mean, if the public already has access to all this information and are forming their own opinions, doesn't that make it harder to have a fair trial?
You've hit on a key point, and it's something that the judge, in this case, Judge Leimelman, is very aware of. He's already issued a warning to both sides, saying that if they litigate this case in the press and, potentially prejudice the jury pool, he might accelerate the trial date.
Hold on, back up. Why would speeding up the trial be a bad thing for either side?
Well, think of it this way. A trial is like a carefully choreographed dance.
Okay.
Both sides need time to gather evidence, interview witnesses, and, build their legal arguments.
Right.
So if the judge accelerates the trial date, kind of throws everything off balance.
Yeah.
One side might not have all their ducks in a row, and that could significantly impact the outcome of the case.
So this transparency play could actually backfire on Baldoni? He might think he's getting ahead of the story,
Yeah.
but it could actually end up hurting him in the long run.
Exactly, and Chu pointed that out as well. He said there's a very fine line between transparency and trying to sway public opinion before the case even goes to trial.
Right.
And if Baldoni's team steps over that line, it could backfire spectacularly.
So We've talked about Baldoni's strategy and how risky it is, but what about Lively and Reynolds? I mean, what are they up against here, and how are they approaching this?
That's a great question, and this is where things get really interesting. Chu pointed out that both sides face a challenge in a case like this.
Okay.
Making a jury care about a dispute between two incredibly wealthy, successful actors.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a David and Goliath situation, and juries can be a little skeptical of these high-profile legal battles.
Right. They just think, oh, they're rich and famous, they'll figure it out. But, I mean, at the heart of this, these are really serious allegations.
Oh, absolutely.
With real consequences. So how do you overcome that? How do you get a jury to see past all the glitz and glamour and actually connect with the case?
Well, there are a few classic strategies that lawyers use in these types of cases.
Okay.
One common approach is to really focus on humanizing their client. So they'll try to show the jury that, despite their fame and fortune, their client is a real person with real feelings who's been genuinely harmed by this whole situation.
So like sharing personal anecdotes, talking about the emotional toll of the lawsuit, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And often they'll also highlight, their client's charitable work or their commitment to causes they believe in.
All right.
It's all about painting this picture of a relatable, sympathetic individual, someone the jury can connect with on a human level.
I see how that would be important, especially when you're dealing with celebrities who are often seen as larger-than-life figures.
Right.
But what about Baldoni's claims? I mean, he's saying that he's the victim, that Lively's accusations are false, and that they've really damaged his reputation.
Right, and he'll likely use a similar strategy,
Okay.
Portraying himself as someone whose career and livelihood have been unjustly threatened. He may also focus on the principle of due process, arguing that he's been unfairly accused and deserves his day in court to clear his name.
So they're both essentially trying to present themselves as the underdog in this situation,
Yeah,
as the one who's been wronged.
exactly.
But it can't all just be about playing the victim card, right?
Right.
I mean, there has to be some legal substance to their arguments as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Alongside the emotional appeals, both legal teams will be meticulously building their cases, presenting evidence, challenging the other side's claims.
Right.
They'll be looking for inconsistencies, digging into past statements, and using legal precedent to support their arguments.
So it's kind of a multi-layered approach.
Yeah.
And all of this is happening with the media just totally watching their every move.
Oh, of course.
I mean, let's be real, this case is tabloid gold. We've got famous actors, we've got these kind of salacious accusations, this massive lawsuit.
Right.
It's a media frenzy.
Absolutely. And that just adds another whole layer of complexity to the situation.
Yeah, because in today's world, legal battles are often fought on multiple fronts, right?
Exactly.
You've got the courtroom where all the legal arguments are presented, but you also have this whole court of public opinion where perceptions are shaped and narratives are being formed.
Right.
So how does that impact how these lawyers strategize? Do they have to be more conscious of public perception now than they did in the past?
Oh, without a doubt. Every move they make, every statement they release, every witness they call,
It's all going to be scrutinized.
it's going to be analyzed and scrutinized by the media and the public. So they need to be incredibly strategic, anticipating how their actions are going to be perceived and proactively shaping the narrative to their advantage.
It's almost like they're playing 4D chess,
Yeah,
trying to think, steps ahead and anticipate how each move is going to play out
that's a great analogy.
in both the legal arena and the public sphere.
Yeah, it's a high-stakes game, and the players involved are, some of the best in the business.
And it's not just about knowing the law anymore, right? It's also about understanding human psychology, media dynamics,
Yeah.
the power of public perception.
It's fascinating.
And we should mention that Baldoni isn't just suing Lively and Reynolds, he's also going after the New York Times.
Yeah.
He's filed a separate lawsuit against them for libel, claiming they published false and defamatory statements about him.
Yes, that's right. That lawsuit stems from an article the New York Times published about these allegations against Baldoni, and he's arguing that the article presented a biased and inaccurate account of the situation,
Okay.
and that it caused significant damage to his reputation and his career.
So now we have two legal battles going on at the same time, both with the potential to impact Baldoni's career and his public image. This is getting more complicated by the minute.
It certainly is, but that's also what makes it so fascinating to observe. It's a real-time case study in crisis management, legal strategy, and that delicate dance between transparency and protecting your own reputation in this digital age.
It makes you wonder, how would you navigate a situation like this? I mean, if you were suddenly thrust into the spotlight, facing these serious accusations and this media firestorm, what would your strategy be?
It's a really thought-provoking question, and I think it's one that we should all consider. Because in today's world where information spreads so quickly and reputations can be tarnished in an instant,
Right.
it's really important to think about how we would protect ourselves and our own narratives.
It's a lot to think about, you know? This whole case really highlights how much the legal landscape has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just about what happens in the courtroom anymore, is it?
No, not at all. The court of public opinion can be just as powerful, you know?
If not more so.
Yeah, and it moves so fast.
It really does. So, zooming out a bit, what does this case tell us about the whole issue of reputation management? I mean, it just seems like a minefield these days, especially for people who are in the public eye.
It really is. And, you know, it's not just celebrities who need to be concerned about this.
Right.
Anyone can find themselves in a situation where their reputation is on the line, whether it's a workplace dispute or some social media controversy, or even just like a disagreement with a neighbor that suddenly, you know, goes viral.
Yeah, that's true. So, for everyone listening, what are some key takeaways here? What can we learn from all this Hollywood drama that we can apply to our own lives?
Well, I think one big takeaway is that transparency can be a really powerful tool,
Yeah.
but it's a double-edged sword,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Sharing information can help you control the narrative, but it also opens you up to a lot of scrutiny and potential backlash.
Yeah, you have to find that balance.
Exactly.
And timing is crucial too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in this case, Baldoni's team chose to be very proactive. They released all this information before anything had even really begun.
Right, but in other situations, it might make more sense to be a little bit more measured in your approach.
Yeah.
Maybe wait for the right moment to share your side of the story.
Yeah.
It all depends on the circumstances.
It does. And the other thing that struck me is just how important it is to have a solid strategy in place before things go bad.
Oh, yeah?
It seems like both sides in this case came out swinging.
Yeah.
They had their narratives all ready to go and their legal teams ready to fight.
Preparation is key when it comes to reputation management. You don't want to be caught off guard, you know, scrambling to react when a crisis hits.
Right.
Think about your potential vulnerabilities. Think about how you would respond and, you know, put together a team of trusted advisors who can help you navigate that situation.
Good advice. And I think, you know, this is also a reminder that these legal battles, even the really high-profile ones, are ultimately about real people.
Yeah.
Behind all the headlines and the legal stuff, there are real emotions and real consequences for everyone involved.
That's so important to remember, and it's easy to lose sight of that, you know, when we're so caught up in all the drama and the spectacle.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, these cases involve individuals whose lives and careers are on the line.
Really well said. So as this case unfolds, I'm really curious to see how both sides adapt their strategies and how, you know, this whole court of public opinion continues to shape the narrative.
You too.
I mean, it's just a fascinating example of how law, media, and reputation all intersect in the digital age.
It really is, and it raises so many questions about the future of justice and accountability in a world where information spreads so quickly and perceptions can change in an instant.
Yeah, a lot to think about. Thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us. It's been quite a ride.
It has my pleasure. It's always great to chat about these complex issues.
And for everyone listening, we encourage you to keep an eye on this case and see how it plays out. And, you know, maybe think about how these insights could apply to your own life. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.